wondered why your guitar feels so different to somebody else's? In this video, be prepared for me to get a bit technical. I'm going to talk about both neck dimensions and shape profiles and how they can be crucial when deciding which guitars you stick with and which you don't. By the end of the video, you'll learn the basic anatomy of an acoustic guitar neck, the common guitar neck shapes. You'll also know the key dimensions that are crucial to help you choose the right guitar neck for your needs. All our necks here at Turnstone Guitar Company can be custom made to any shape and size. In that regard, when having something custom made, it's really important to have an idea of what you want. On the bench here, we have a variety of necks with different nut widths and different shape profiles. Even for guitarists not looking to custom spec an instrument, it's a really good bit of knowledge to have when picking up a guitar, even off the shelf. So let's see what we're looking at here. The guitar neck is made up of quite a number of different elements, so let's take a closer look at them now. Starting at the headstock, which can be either solid or slotted. The headstock leads to the guitar nut, which is where your strings feed through onto the fretboard. The fretboard is what both dictates the fret spacing and holds the metal frets into the board. Attached to your fretboard is the guitar neck, which in turn leads to the neck heel, which then attaches to the guitar body. Going back to the nut, that's generally the starting point that dictates the width of the neck at the lower fretted positions. The nut is measured by placing a ruler across the top of the fretboard from edge to edge. That's generally more accurate than positioning the ruler over the top of the nut, as it may be rounded over to remove sharp edges. This is called the nut width, and it's a key dimension to know on your neck, and it's a great starting point. The neck then splays out from the nut towards the join of the guitar body. Our standard nut is 44.5 or 1 3/4 inches from edge to edge, but people have asked us to make anything ranging from 42 millimeters right up to 49. The next key measurement is spacing from edge of the nut to the edge of the outer strings, which is usually a fixed distance. From this string spacing value at the nut, we can then calculate our saddle string spacing by multiplying the given nut width by a fixed ratio, but essentially all that gives us is a nice splayed out string trajectory heading towards the saddle on the high and the low strings. So now we have our string path that we can build the dimensions of the neck around. As we go down towards the body, we plan for our necks to get a little bit wider than the string trajectory as we proceed towards the 12th fret to avoid players slipping off the fretboard towards the midpoint of the scale length when doing either bends or pull-offs. If you often fall off the side of your fretboard, it might be interesting to check if perhaps the strings are too close to the edge of the fretboard. Now we have all our critical values, we can draw a line which is parallel to the 1st and the 6th strings from the nut through to the 2 points at the 12th, and voila! You have your fretboard neck width. Hopefully that gives you an idea about all the thought that goes into your guitar neck. If you have a guitar neck that you love, it might be interesting for you to measure the nut width, the saddle string spacing, and the nut width of the neck at the 12th fret. See how different it is compared to your other guitars you might own. You'll notice that guitars with different measurements at these points will have a hugely different feel to them. We know even a change of 0.5 millimeters at the nut can result in a surprisingly different feel of neck. These dimensions also have a profound effect on the spacing between the strings. If you find your fingers struggling to pinpoint a certain string without hitting another by mistake, it may be your string spacing is too close together. On the other hand, if too wide, it can make playing much harder than it needs to be, even putting you off playing because you find it so tricky. Next, you'll want to consider the shape profile of the back of the neck. The standard shape we offer, and generally the most popular with players of all styles, is the C shape. It has a rounded profile that resembles the letter C when viewed in cross-section. It's one of the most common neck shapes found on guitars. The main reason for this is that most people find it to be a really comfortable grip. It also suits a variety of playing styles, including rhythm, lead, fingerpicking, and strumming. It's also a good choice for those with smaller to average sized hands, as the rounded profile is easier to grip compared to chunkier neck shapes. Next, you have a more distinctive V-shaped neck, which has much more of a pronounced peak along the center of the back, resembling the letter V. There are two main variations, both the soft and the harder V. The V-shape is particularly comfortable for players who like to rest their thumb over the top of the back of the neck, which provides a secure grip but without the excess bulk. Vintage guitar enthusiasts often are keen on this neck profile, as many vintage guitars have the V-shaped neck. It can be more comfortable for players with larger hands and offers a more substantial feel without feeling overly bulky. Moving on to the D shape, which is characterized with much more of a flatter profile and squared off sides. Classical guitar necks are generally flatter and wider, so musicians transferring over to steel string from their classical guitars may consider this shape. With a nice flat flat surface across the back, it provides a great point for the thumb to purchase on, which is familiar with classical playing technique. Just to complicate things further, you don't even need to be bound by just one profile shape. In the past, we've done transitional shapes. So for example, you may go for a soft V towards the nut, and that will be flattening out more to a C shape as it progresses up the neck. This could be useful if you like the V shape when using your thumb for the bass string lower down on the fretboard, but like the comfort of the C shape as you go up into the wider section of the neck. Once you've decided on the shape profile you want, the actual thickness of the neck can also have a substantial impact on your hand. The thickness people ask for is usually based on generally what they're used to. Often people who play a lot of electric guitar, for example, will want a thinner neck than those who are perhaps used to playing acoustic steel strings. You can begin to understand the necks you currently have by simply referencing up a ruler to the guitar neck. I use a handy caliper tool which gives me all the measurements that I need to the exact value from the bottom of the neck to the top of the fretboard. I'll often ask my customers if they have a guitar neck that they particularly like to bring it in, and I can take all of the measurements that I need. Next, you may want to consider the actual scale length of your instrument, as that can have an impact on the distance between the actual frets. The larger scale lengths obviously having slightly larger gaps between the frets. If you have smaller hands or struggle to stretch your hands for more complicated chords, you may want to try instruments with shorter scale lengths. Finally, after all this, there's obviously the string action to contend with as well. In simple terms, this is the distance between the strings and the frets. A lower action usually results in easier playing, but can result in fret buzz if it's too low for your playing style. This is usually the thing that most people look at when buying a guitar, but it's actually the easiest thing to change and adapt. You're generally stuck with the neck shape and the nut width unless you pay for a costly new neck and the associated repair work. So when it comes to choosing the right neck for you, a good place to start is to analyze your current guitars. Consider how the shape and the thickness feel in your hand at different playing positions. Does the distance between the frets cause you trouble? What does the spacing between the strings feel like? Do you keep touching strings unintentionally? Do you have one guitar that feels much more comfortable to play than others? Try to think about why that might be. Go between your guitars quite quickly to compare. Take down the measurements that I mentioned earlier in the video. I've also summarized them in the comments below for quick reference. Try out as many guitars as you can. Shops and guitar shows are a great way to try out loads of guitars all at once. But rather than paying attention to the sound, solely focus on the playability. Maybe even putting earplugs in so your senses don't get distracted. Professional builders like us are also on hand to give advice, and we perhaps may ask questions that you haven't thought of before. Unlike most factories, we have the flexibility to do any and all kinds of necks, so reach out to us if you're thinking of going down the custom route, and we can help you get the best playability possible. I hope this video has inspired you to think a little bit more about your guitar necks and has helped you gain a better understanding of what needs to be considered when choosing your perfect guitar neck. There are other elements which impact playability as well, but I think they deserve their own videos to explore them properly. Let me know in the comments what different necks have been like for you and the impact they've had on your playing. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to our channel.